Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Ina. I have here a very relaxing, I think, type of video. I'll be reporting a root-bound Oncidium, or it is a catant, I'm not sure. It's like an Oncidium hybrid. I'm sure it has Oncidium, its parent, but it's a hybrid, it's an OID. And before I show you the plant and talk about the plant, I want to talk a little bit about the care of these hybrids. So not only Oncidiums, but plants that are closer to Oncidiums or some of these hybrids and intergenerics that are a mixture of different things. So at this time of the year, usually they show in some garden centers, and even sometimes, I think 1 year ago, I saw it in some supermarkets here in the UK as well. So these beauties here, these colorful beauties that we have, like super yellow flowers or like red flowers. This one, I think, one of its parents is a Brassia. So this one is the first one that I bought in my life. I want to show you them because, come on, come on. So proud of my babies. They've been attacked by thrips. So I've been treating them. I probably won't have as many flower spikes as I would like to, but I'm happy with the ones that I have here in front of me now. So this yellow one, it's one of them. By the way, got this one at not home base. Yeah, home base. I got this one at home base. They bring some Oncidiums and Intergenerics sometimes. You can get them very, very cheap. So it was a good deal. And look, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's a no ID. All of these are no ID. Apart from this one, that's the Miltonia Sunset. Oh, it was producing this beautiful spike here. And that the wind through my pot in the floor and break the flower spike. Anyway, that's the Miltonia Sunset, and I have here as an example because I think their care is not exactly the same, but it's pretty similar. So I'm going to show you the plants that I have here and talk to you a little bit about them. So let's start, and then I'm going to show you how I repot a root-bound type of Oncidium or intergeneric plant. And I hope you enjoy it. If you do, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you here. Again, let's start. First of all, I can hold this one for very, very long because the pot is quite heavy. It's one of my favorite pots. I love it so much. Look at it. It's beautiful, isn't it? I love different pots. So, first thing about these plants, they are epiphytes, like Phalaenopsis, which means that they don't grow in soils. They grow on top of trees as well. They need a pretty airy medium. The type of medium that you use for your Phalaenopsis or for your epiphyte, you can use the same medium to repot these plants. They need air, so don't grow in soil. That's the first thing. The second thing that I want to tell you, it's about the pattern of growth of these plants. Usually, they are not monopodial. They are sympodial type of orchids, which means they are different from Phalaenopsis and Vandas. They don't have a central axis where the leaves sprout. They have pseudobulbs. Each of these pseudobulbs, they will mature, they will grow, and they will produce maybe a flower spike with the right care. So instead of growing one leaf after another one, they mature one pseudobulb, then the next one, and then the next one. And that's how they grow. So they have a stem and they will grow on this stem, producing new pseudobulbs that are these structures here that store water. Another thing that is different from Phalaenopsis, I think, is the root. If you look to the root of these plants, they are much thinner than the Phalaenopsis orchids, means that these plants need more water. They dry up faster because their root system can't store so much water compared to Phalaenopsis. Although they do have pseudobulbs. The pseudobulbs helps them to store water and survive. One way of knowing if your plant needs water, if it's becoming dehydrated, the pseudobulb will shrivel, will become completely shrinked. So you will see, instead of looking plump and nice, it will be full of wrinkles. So you see wrinkles on the pseudobulb. That means that your plant needs water. I would tell you that Phalaenopsis and Vandas and Cattleyas, they are more drought tolerant in general. Not all of them, but most of them. They are more drought tolerant than these plants. These hybrids, they are better than some of the species, but they need a little bit more of water or a little bit more of humidity. That's really important about these plants, so keep that in mind. But with the hybrids, usually they grow super fast and they can bloom multiple times a year. Their blooms, they don't last like Phalaenopsis, but they will be in bloom for more than a month, and then they will probably bloom again. So if you want to have blooms many times a year, these plants are perfect because they will give to you with plants. Most of them blooms in spring and autumn, at least in my experience. And also they are perfect for people that live in an environment like mine. I have summer, spring, that's not that hot. It's hot, but just for a few weeks. I have a long winter, and it's pretty humid here. I think these plants, if you offer them lighting, as I mentioned, the area medium, and water them more frequently when the weather gets warmer, they are perfect for this weather. For me, they are the ones that grow nicely in my experience, in my climate. They do so well, honestly. The downsides of these plants, usually they are large, especially the hybrids. They can get really large, like lots of leaves, and they need bigger pots, and they start growing. Not all of them, but some of them. So that's the downside. If you don't have the space for it, they can take up the space, especially with the amount of leaves that you have. You need space on your shelving for these plants. And another thing is treating pests on these plants is a nightmare. I have an infestation of thrips. I'll link the video down below if you want to know a little bit more. So if you see some marks on the leaves like this one, and it's caused by thrips. So I have spent so much time cleaning, like even now looking at it, I see some dark spots. I'm not sure if it is thrips or not. I have sprayed everything like multiple times, but because of the amount of leaves and how the insects, they can hide in between these leaves, and it can be quite tricky to treat. That's one thing. But the good side of these plants is, first of all, most of them are fragrant. Not all of them has the most amazing fragrance, I'm gonna say. Like this one, I'm not really fan of strong fragrance, especially for me. This one is quite good. Sorry for my face, but if I'm very close to it in the morning, I feel a little bit sick, so it's not for me. But I can't feel it from the distance, which is good. That's why I keep this plant, and the color is amazing. This one has no fragrance. I have others now, like the Twinkle smells like honey in my experience, but the Twinkle requires a little bit different type of care. I think the roots are even thinner, so it needs more water. The Cherry Babe has a powerful fragrance that people think that remind them of chocolate. I find it very strong. It's not for me. Again, I think it's very sweet. But people that love fragrance, they usually love these plants as well because of their fragrance. They have different fragrance, different colors. Find them in deep reds, deep yellows, orange, multiple flowers, cascading of flowers that blooms multiple times a year. So if you have the time for it, the space, and you enjoy blooms, I think these plants are perfect for you. Especially if you live in an environment like mine. If you live in a hot environment, I'm not sure. I think you would probably water them a lot because they require water. So I'm gonna show you how I repot them and what I do to keep them wet for longer, but not very long to suffocate the roots, but also to grow nicely. As I mentioned before, these ones, they are like perfect for my environment. I love them so much. Yeah, so now I'm gonna show you my root-bound orchid because I need to repot that immediately. If you can, don't let your orchid grow like that. It's a nightmare to repot it, but I will address it. I'm gonna show you how I do it. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. So come along with me. This one is my plant, is the one that needs to be repotted immediately. It's a big plant, as you can see. It's full of roots. It was in bloom like maybe a month ago. I will show you some footage now of the flowers, how they look like. It has large, pretty large pseudobulbs, darker leaves, as you can see. And this one is quite drought tolerant compared to my other ones. So I would say that although it has lots of roots, it can stay for a week or even more sometimes in the pot, and I don't need to water it, which is amazing. Yeah, what I need for this repotting, it's gonna be my usual mix. It's organic mix. I'm gonna use bark and sphagnum moss. I'm gonna up a pot a little bit. So I have here, I don't know how many, let me try to find it somewhere. This one is a 13 centimeters pot, and I'm gonna put this one in a 16 centimeters. I will leave the down below for you because it grows very, very fast and I don't have space in here. I don't wanna, it won't fit in here. I need a bigger pot, but I don't want to divide it. One solution, if you don't have the space, is to divide the plant. So you remove the back bulbs and then the plant will become smaller. So I do that a lot, but I'm not going to do that now with these plants. What I'm going to do now is basically I get my tray, get my pair of scissors, my organic medium, and I'm going to start unpotting this one, showing you how it is inside the pot, and then I'm going to pot it up and I will come back here. So let's do it together. So yeah, I have here my big plant. So the first thing that I do here is squeeze the pot. Even if I lose some of the roots, not ideal, but it will be fine. Look at that, honestly. Sorry. Look at that. There are many active growth points here, so it's fine. Look, guys, it's impossible when you come to this stage, in my experience. Like, I will never stop removing medium. If I decide to go one bit at a time, I'm gonna be here forever. One thing that can help you with root bound plants is a pair of tweezers. So something that you can grab the medium and remove it from the roots. That's what I would advise you to do. But with some of the old growth, it's okay if you lose. There are dead roots here, I can see, so it's fine. I'm gonna get my pair of tweezers. It's impossible for me to do that manually. I'll be here forever, honestly. No, it's okay. So something that I love moss, because with moss it's easier to remove it from the roots than bark. So I'm gonna probably speed up this video, but you need to keep doing that, removing bit by bit by bit by bit. Let me tell you something. I'm not scared if I lose the roots from this pseudobulb here, because this one is the old one. So it's fine if I lose the roots of this one. I will lose roots here. It's impossible for me to save all of them, or even half of them. But this orchid's not a new orchid. I have this for a long time. So I'm not going to spray hydrogen peroxide on the root system of this one, because I have done it before. And look at the size of these plants. I'm sure it doesn't have any pests in the root system. But if it is a new orchid, especially with Oncidiums, I would advise you to get a 3% hydrogen peroxide and spray the root system very well after the repotting, because I said that I wouldn't divide it, but I have already done. I don't need that. Again, so these roots, they're coming from here. They are very important because that's the new growth. The other ones, they are all older growths, so it's okay. That's why I'm starting through the back, because it's easier for me. Because I know if I lose some of the roots here, it will be fine. But I can see there are some root tips growing, but there are lots of dead roots as well. But I'll be here for a while, so I'll speed up this video, okay? Let's keep removing everything. So guys, it's still a bit of a mess around here. What I have in here is basically, sorry, I'm like crazy about thrips, so I see thrips everywhere, even when it's not. So I have water the root system here, just to remove the excess of medium. So now I just cut some dead roots here and there, check what I want to keep and what I don't want to keep, especially the old roots, the one from the older growths. You can check, for example, I know that the older growth, this one is one of the old growths here. So I can see that there are some dead roots around here. So I don't need them, you know. So that's what I'm going to start doing now. Just checking, for example, here was the oldest pseudobulb. So, because I remove it, I can remove the roots that were connected to it as well. They are not all dead, but they will die eventually, especially because the pseudobulb's not here anymore. And I'll keep doing that. I'll keep removing the older roots and the one that I see that are dead, especially the one on the back. That's the back of my orchid. So where most of the older roots are. I'm not too concerned because this orchid is a very healthy one. And also it grows super fast. Like I can see that all of the roots are branching out. So even if I lose some of them, it's okay. Like I have a bowl of roots here that for me is hard to remove. And most of the dead roots are towards the middle of the bowl. I don't need to have this amount of roots for the plant to bounce back easily, but I don't want to set my plant back as well. So it's not that I'm like deliberately like killing all the roots or anything like that, but I don't need all of these roots. And I still have a massive bowl of roots here, and there are many dead roots. So since I want to start with new medium, I can definitely cut the ones that are not alive anymore and providing fresh start to my plant. And why is so important? Because if I have dead medium here, they will rotten on inside the pot and they will spoil my mix much faster. I use organic medium, so it's important for me to have live roots inside this pot and not dead roots and roots that will die and spoil the whole pot. So that's why I keep like inspecting it. The only thing about Oncidiums, Intergenerics, and its hybrids, all of the ones that has this thin ball of roots, is that although they grow super nice here, oh gosh, they are a nightmare to repot compared to other type of orchids, because for you to inspect these roots and clean these roots without basically destroying the root system is much more difficult, because the roots are thinner, and when they grow nicely like these ones have, you're gonna have, I have some live roots here, by the way, I just saw it, but it's okay. That's what happens. For you to clean the root system, on the video, you won't see how long it took me. But usually, you stay, I don't know, for a while, looking at it, you know, inspecting it, trying to check what's dead, what is alive. Not necessarily everything that is losing development is dead. In my own experience, they can still branch out, but everything that's coming from behind the plant or I'm removing, because I can see the dead things that we have in the middle, and I'm trying to be gentle as possible. So keep doing it, and I'm gonna show you when I'm done. So hi guys, so I water the plant again to remove the excess of medium. I think I've done a pretty decent job. This amount of roots grew in 1 year. It's pretty fast for orchids. I'm sure it will bounce back pretty fast. It may be a little bit stressed in the first month or so, but after that it will definitely produce a ton of roots again. Probably next year I will have to repot it again, so I'm not very worried about it. But yeah, so what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna pot this up, this hairy root up. I have here my pot, my big pot. I also have some moss. So with Oncidiums, I use a little bit more of moss than I use with other drought tolerant orchids. When you have a big bowl of roots, one advice that I would give you is, if you want to keep the humidity here in the middle, you can place some moss here. So yeah, it will just like very loose moss, just to help to keep the humidity around the root system. You can see it fits pretty well. Usually I place the older growth towards here, the bottom, but I can see there is an eye growing here, and I have a new growth on this side, and I have another new growth on this side. So I have lots of new growths. Yeah, I'm gonna place it in the middle. That's what I would advise you to do. Place in the middle if you don't know which direction the plant will grow. So I have lots of moss on the bottom. And now I'm gonna keep filling it with bark. This is not an ideal bark, but it's the one that I have at the moment because it's pretty thin. I like to have it with a little bit larger bits, but that's my fault, and I think it will work pretty well in the end. So yeah, so I place a layer of bark, my layer of moss. Let me know if you live in a place with the environment similar to mine, and how you keep yours. If you have any Oncidiums or Intergeneric, and how you keep yours, and what's the result. I'd love to hear. Again, if the orchid is new and it's a root-bound Oncidium, but is a new orchid, You have to spray the root system with hydrogen peroxide 3% before you pot it up, because otherwise you may have some snails, and if you have some snails in the pot, the snails will grow super happily inside your pot and will munch your root and your plant. Very fast, by the way. So to avoid that, spray some hydrogen peroxide 3% on the root system. By the way, these big orchids, I'm like avoiding buying them at the present moment, because I don't know where to place them anymore. I don't have space for new ones. But I have to be honest that, oh my gosh, I love their flowers. I think they are amazing plants. I think you should own at least one. Something that I love is big flowered ones. Oh my gosh, I love them. There is an institution, a charity here in the UK called the Matters Foundation. I leave their Instagram down below and their website. If you love orchids, check them out. Honestly, it's a project that helps conserve older hybrids here in the UK, and they have the most amazing hybrids intergenerics in their collection. They can't sell it at the moment, but usually I saw them on the Orchid show that I went, but I know their Instagram for a while now. Amazing. It's the most beautiful orchids that I've seen here. We can't buy these ones, but you can definitely see them. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna place some slow release fertilizer here. I wasn't expecting it to grow so much, as you can see. This one grows faster than most of the other ones that I have. It's very similar to the cherry baby. So if you have a cherry baby, you know what I mean. At least mine is super vigorous. It grows so fast. I'll have to address my cherry baby soon. Honestly, the orchid is huge. It's huge, and the root system is taking out the pot. And this one is similar. So that's what I'm gonna do for now. Trying to hide this moss, but I'll be able to hide all of the moss. My big beast spotted. Just before I conclude the video, I have some air pockets in the pot. So I would advise you to get some sticks or something that can help you poke the medium through the pot. Otherwise, it's gonna have some big air gaps, and we don't need big air gaps. I will do that now. But yes, so that's something important. So guys, to conclude this video, my hands are horrible, so I hope you don't mind it. Sorry, pretty dirty of doing all this job. But you have to water your plant after you repot it to avoid it to become even more stressed after all the repotting and cutting of the roots and everything. So I just gave it a little bit of water, and what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take good care of it. I'm gonna offer it lighting. Oh, I forgot to mention that in the beginning of the video. These plants love their lighting. So they are intermediate to highlight plants. If you live in a country that is cold like mine, to place them in a southern eastern window or under growing lights. If it is on this window where I'm filming now, they bloom with natural light because the light is very strong when spring starts. But otherwise, I don't have space to place them in there. They are very big, as you can see, and this spot's really nice, but it's huge. So I have now even bigger plant. Look at the size of that. So I will find a space for it. I will keep looking after this plant as I look after most of my orchids. I will find it a good place for it. I water it frequently, and it will probably be a little bit stressed for a while, but I'm sure it will bounce back. And that was all that I have to tell you today. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you do, please hit the like button, leave a comment down below, subscribe to my channel. It helps me a lot. You can find me on Instagram as well at 1 orchid a day. There I post many pictures of my blooms and also some stories updating you about my collection. More than that, I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.